Hey everybody, Todd here, and welcome back to another Wellness Talks. So today I'm going to be looking at what is the self as context. This is one of the pillars of ACT therapy, the self as context. And a lot of people have a difficult time understanding exactly what that is. And I have a whole playlist dedicated to the self as context. And basically, what it boils down to is, who are you? So stick around as I walk through a little bit about what self as context is, why it's important, and how you can get the most out of this particular tool. So let's just take a moment and do a quick exercise right off the bat, just to get a general sense of what this is. So what I'd like for you to do is to just identify in your mind, on paper, however it works best for you, what your roles are in life. A parent, a worker, a leader, a gardener, a woodworker, a dancer, an artist, you name it. Just take a moment, look at all of those roles. And now what I'd like for you to do is to look back across your life at roles that you've had. A student, a baseball player, a skier, a third grade student, a seventh grade student. Just look at all the different roles that you've had. Think about the times you've actually engaged with people at those points, in those roles. And what I'd like for you to do is to notice that there is a continuity over this whole breadth of time. There's a component of you that's been aware of all of this, all of these things. The self as context, the observing mind, sometimes also called the transcendent self. It's just simply that being in that moment, that present moment. Now, when I was asking you to go back and look at all those roles, those are actually memories. But for you, there's no break in that and now. I mean, obviously your mind can differentiate a timeline, but when you jump back into it, it's difficult to differentiate. You're observing a memory. You're observing a thought. That's the self as context. That's the witnessing mind. Other things that fall inside of the self as context are the rules and the tools that we've come up with over time. So this is why many of the videos I have out there aren't just having you be that observer self. The mindfulness component helps with that. But that I also have you take a moment to really step back, look at those rules and tools. Family first. I must succeed. I must be productive. I must save them all. Whatever those rules are that we've developed when we were 3 and 5 and 7 and 12, and we've carried forward to now, those are there, but we're not always aware. And when you're working with somebody or you're watching some of these videos, what we're attempting to do is to help you to be in the observing mind and to notice that those memories, your memories, if we're fused to them, if we're inside of them, if we're subject to them, self as context, the observing mind, allows us to actually gain some distance and actually see them for what they are. Thoughts, memories. But why is this important? Well, if we're not aware of those things, if we don't realize that we have thoughts, but we're not our thoughts, then what typically happens is that we unconsciously follow the automatic behavioral programs connected to the sensations tied to those thoughts, tied to those memories. So if we give ourselves some distance, it allows us to actually then choose, is this thought worth acting on? Do I need to do that automatic response? Can I catch myself in the midst of that automatic response? So self as context is quite simply situational awareness, the observing mind, the witness the wise mind, to use a DBT terminology. And quite basically boils down to being present in this moment right now and noticing everything that is so, externally and internally. Well, the simplest way to use these tools is to just go to the playlist I've already put out there for you. And we just did a quick exercise at the very beginning. What are your roles? If you were an actor, an actress, what's the role that you're playing? Is this role, if I can see this role, is this role what I'm about to do based upon that role, moving me in a direction that actually matters? It's giving us that space, it's giving us that place. It's the observing mind. Now, just the act of getting space is something we actually called diffusion, and I have a whole other list that you can watch on diffusion skills right here. But the self as context is just simply being here and now. And any mindfulness skill will help you to develop that even further. Really paying attention to watching all those thoughts, kind of like leaves on a river or clouds in the sky. If I can see all these things going on around me, the self as context is you. And some might argue it's even the real you. So go ahead and head on over to one of the two lists I have. You can look at either diffusion or the self as context list and begin to play around with those tools and skills. In doing this, the 6 different components of ACT, of which diffusion and self as context are 2, the ultimate goal, for us anyhow, is being able to create a space for greater psychological flexibility. If you liked the video, please be sure to hit the like button below. And until the next time, may you be well.